they don't give a fuck about our votes. The votes they are trying to win are the suburban wine moms, these neocon daddies, like the people that care about the United States influence. You know what I mean? So when they see this, they're like, man, in 2 years, Biden did kind of fuck our United States standing up. The same thing they said Donald Trump was going to do when Donald Trump was going to alienate our allies, make us a joke on the global stage, and lead to the fall of the dollar in World War III. They used to say shit about that. They used to say that shit about Trump, and people be like, "Man, you kind of being a doomer, aren't you?" Now it's really happening under Joe Biden. So you gotta have these suburban people who trade on stock. They on stock trades and look on this shit like, man, you see what's going on with the dollar, man? So we see what happens because I do not put past the Republicans to choke this away, because the Republicans, and I have this article I showed it before, polling show RBN was right. Like woke, let's see if I can find it. Woke polling. Most Americans, here it is. Most Americans are turned off by this shit, which I actually didn't think was the case, because I remember when we did our initial breakdown of this, I was like, man, I don't think we're gonna win this battle at the end of the day, but we gotta stay with true. We gotta say the fact that you guys hijacked this shit for the black community. We cannot be a black network, and we do not call out this woke bullshit that the GOP is pushing. And I was like, man, even though we're in the minority on this, I don't give a fuck. We gotta tell our truth. Meanwhile, the rest of America is like, yeah, you guys right. We don't give a fuck. And look at this poll. And this is what I said as well. Like, the only people who are obsessed over wokeness are people who are already Republicans. People who are already conservative. These are people who are socially conservative. Like, oh my God, these woke people who got rainbow flags everywhere. They are okay with gay people. They're okay with. Meanwhile, the average American are struggling to pay their bills. They don't give a fuck about the culture war. I cannot emphasize this enough. And this is what the analysis of MAGA communism failed. They was like, you got to lean into the culture war to reach workers. I was saying, if anything, no. The culture war turns workers off of politics. Right. That's why most people don't vote. When you speak to their material needs and ignore the political theater, you can reach people. But actually, let me read this poll. I actually had another overall point. The GOP war on woke. Most Americans view the term as a positive. 56% compared to 39%. That's a big swing. That double-digit swing. I think that's 17% positive here. And I remember during our debate with Jackson Hinkle, they was trying to. The mad communist was like, man, you gotta be anti-woke because that's how you reach the workers. And I'm like, bro, you are insulting the workers so much. That's the argument we made. Leaning into the woke culture war to win the workers over is saying that workers are dumb and don't know what's really good for them. You know what I mean? That's the argument that we made to Jackson, and that's true. That's shown to be true. Most Americans don't care about this shit except the people who are already engaged. Like, if you like really retweeting right-wing, like if you retweeting Matt Walsh, if you're retweeting Ben Shapiro, you already chose a side. You already engaged, and you're not the winnable people. You're not the people who don't vote already. You already like stake your flag down. Most people are not like that, as evidence that most people don't vote. Most people are like, oh man, these politicians are full of shit. I'm trying to survive. You know what I mean? It's only the 20% that actually think that the woke scourge is something that's taking over the country. It's always the passionate minority. But CJ, I know you want to chime in.
I just wanted to. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Finish out your point.
I just want to say this just because I don't want to miss my point. Because the point I was making is almost like a mini segment. Was if GOP leans into this, they're going to lose, guys. They're going to lose. They was expected to dominate the midterms. They did not dominate the midterms because of this. As we broke down,
we did a segment on it. Yeah.
So I think Biden is very vulnerable. I think Trump is in a great position to win. But if Trump rack up this cultural war, like imagine you run a campaign like, we're going to end wokeness. That shit works in Florida, guys. Ron DeSantis kills it in Florida. The rest of the country is rolling their eyes at this shit.
But is it me, or do you get the vibe that DeSantis lays into the culture war way more than Trump? Or is it just me?
Because it works because he's in Florida. We explained this as well. That shit works well for DeSantis because he's in Florida. That shit wins in Florida. Does that shit win nationally?
No.
Like, that's the thing.
Like, they're finding out his polling is collapsing. Or I should say his polling has collapsed because David Pakman covers this intensely. And so I get the notifications. His polling has collapsed over the last month or maybe 3 weeks or so. And it's because it doesn't translate nationally. You're not gonna come to California talking about some woke bullshit. We're gonna be like, we know what woke is. Like,
and not battleground
we're
states.
not gonna go ahead.
Like Florida is deeply conservative. Like, bro, you can go Ohio and a swing state talk about some shit that's gonna fire up the left. That's not a good idea. Like, it doesn't something that works. So if the GOP sticks with remember, they only trying to win over suburbia. The youth wing of the Democratic Party, they're gonna do their part to get young people over. You're gonna have the Matt Walshes and the Ben Shapiro. They're gonna do their job to get young Republicans. The job of corporate media is to win over suburban wine moms. So if they lean into the whole Biden destroyed U.S. standing, and they lean into the Ukraine war and his lies over the Ukraine war, his inability to fight China, you know what I mean? That will be a solid message. If they lean toward the culture war, I don't think Trump is as guaranteed as a lot of people think. And I remember I made a prediction before 2020. I remember everyone was like, man, Trump's gonna destroy. But I'm like, man, I don't know, man. Because you guys see the culture war shit the Republicans are doing. Never discount the ability of a Republican or a Democrat to choke an election away. That's why when people ask me what you think, what I'm thinking to happen, I don't know, man. Electoral politics is bullshit. You can't really predict it.
I probably give him more of a chance to win than you, but it's not like as much of a difference. Like if you're 50-50, I'm like 60-40 that he's probably going to win because he's made a couple of good decisions in the beginning. We've already covered this. The stance on Ukraine, which we both think is a lie, like he's going to be talked out of it. But the stance on Ukraine, and I forget the latest thing that he talked about where we were like, yeah, these two things together may give him a chance to win.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If Trump lean into that good shit, like if he lean into Ukraine, boy is gonna win. But based on what I'm saying right now, the early stages, he's gonna mention that shit, but he gonna focus on the culture war. That's gonna be the thing. And if that happens, if they do that, it's 50-50. If the Republican leans toward the culture war, it's gonna be 50-50. I don't know. It could be either or. But if Trump leans into Biden, Ukraine, you know what I mean? That's gonna. I think that would be devastating. Like the same way.
Now,
go ahead, CJ.
We must mention this, Nick, because they want to say GOP is the one that's trying to co-opt this, but the only way they can co-opt this is because of what the Democrats are doing. Yep. The only way they can co-opt this is because AOC and the squad voted for Ukraine and they call themselves anti-war. So you're doing that's woke anti-war because you're saying you're anti-war and you're not. So they are even creating a lane for this to even have the legs that it is, even though it's not polling that high. Point? Go ahead.
Sorry,
I saw the light bulb in your eyes. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Another reason why Democrats may be fucked because you know how Republicans can screw this over. I just said it by leaning to the culture war. The same Democrats can screw this up by leaning into Ukraine. Like I've seen MSNBC hosts and analysts and blue check liberals. They're like running on. Oh my God, Trump is the Russian candidate. If you want Ukraine to keep getting funds, you gotta make sure you support Joe Biden. Like,
what?
So I have seen this. Like, Born and Joe have done segments. I think in my last Nick at Night, I think I kind of highlighted how they were like, man, if Trump think he's gonna run against Ukraine and win, he's gonna got nothing coming. Yeah, look, this exposed Trump as a Russian puppet. And then they were talking about how Trump was praising. That was my last Nick at Night video I did. How when Trump praised Xi Jinping and Putin, they was like, man, they think Trump is praising Putin and Xi Jinping. Look at him, he's a Russian puppet. Bro, if they lean into that shit, Democrats are gonna lose.